Buckle up. You're about to hear something you won't forget.
1, 2, 3, 4.
If you wish to understand the secrets of the universe, think.
This isn't your typical small talk. This is Lift Talk.
The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing.
Ever had such a good conversation you didn't want the ride to end?
In terms of energy, frequency,
From the streets of Denver to your ears, welcome to the conversations that only happen in a lift.
and vibration.
3 years ago, I quit my comfortable, well-paying job in tech. Although the money was great, I couldn't shake the feeling I was meant to be somewhere else. Eventually, I found myself out of money. Needing quick cash, I started driving for the rideshare app Lyft. I'm Sean McMahon, and you're listening to Lift Talk.
2, 1.
Go. All right, yeah, we're live. Just go ahead and introduce yourself and say a little about where you're going and what you're doing this weekend.
All right. My name is Mike. I am 39, turning 40 here in a couple weeks. I'm from Florida originally. Moved to Denver, about 8 years ago. Love it out here. I'm working in sales and on my way to beautiful Las Vegas for my annual quote-unquote work trip with some buddies from different sales organizations that have, we've linked up over the last, couple of years or so. So that's my quick spiel.
Oh, that's great, Mike. So what do you sell?
Right now, I am in solar energy and battery storage sales.
Solar energy and battery storage.
Yeah, I've been doing that for, since the pandemic, actually. Previously, I was in the wine and spirits industry for about a decade. Ran a small sales team over here on the Front Range of the mountains. COVID came, kind of pivoted to something I could do from home. Higher ticket sales, something I cared about more a little bit. I had a friend that had recommended a company and interviewed, and the rest is history. So been doing that work from home life ever since at a number of different solar sales organizations, and that's where I met some of these buddies virtually. And ironically, that's even the word enough, we actually didn't meet in person until our first Vegas trip a couple years ago, and that was kind of wild, right? You know someone, but you don't because you never seen them in person. So that was a trip, but I think we're on year number 4 or 5 now. So that's what's going on.
Pretty good, man. You notice how as soon as we were off air, then when we got on air, you have this sales voice. Did you notice that? You went into this sales voice.
Man, I know.
Let me try to make it as monotone as possible. You're doing great, but a little more natural, You're cool, man. So you're just on a Slack chat and somebody's like, hey guys, we should all go to Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we were just talking about, sports and gambling, and it's like, oh, this guy's kind of cool. Let's why don't we go to Vegas? So sometimes we would collaborate on sales, just the way things went, and we've collaborated on a sale. We'd be like, let's just do it in the Vegas fund kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for your weekend in Vegas, man.
Thank you. It's funny you notice the the sales voice, right? It's totally not even it's not even conscious in a way. It's sort of because I'm used to being on Zoom, so I'm glad you called that out. That's kind of that's good, really good to know.
Oh, I'm glad I could help.
You picked up on that.
Yeah, I'm going to this. I'm trying Time Left for the first time. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's an app where you pay $20 for a month, I think, or you can just pay $15 for one trial, and they have a dinner, a weekly dinner, and they just coordinate 5 or 6 strangers. So they give you the restaurant, they give you all the details, and you just show up and meet and talk to these strangers for a couple hours. And then if you have a good enough time, they give you while you're at dinner, you get everyone gets a text from the app that says here's after hours drinks, go if you're having a great time and want to meet the other dinner groups, to like kind of mix it up. Anyway, I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying it today. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, what should I wear? Like you're just kind of prepping, like what kind of impression do I want to leave?
Right.
I started thinking like, I'm just going to go as me. Like, and then, anyway, it's funny that you have a sales voice because it reminded me of when I used to be in corporate and how like you kind of had to put on a performance and you felt like you had to be,
sure,
I don't know, more formal or,
sure.
not
People,
your natural self.
Obviously, I forget what the term in psychology is, but obviously there's people act different when like the cameras are on. It's just, it just kind of happens. So I guess it's best to not even think about it. Just be yourself. But yeah, to your point about the time left thing, you can be yourself, or if you want to mess around, you can be whoever you want to be, right?
That's the truth.
Which is cool, but also scary if you think about it from like, someone else's perspective, right?
No, 100%. I think it is scary to be ourselves. I think like being rejected as yourself is the root, at least for me, it's like the root of that fear, right? Where
Absolutely.
It's like, if I show up as me, it's going to hurt a lot more if they don't like me than otherwise, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, our egos are there for a reason, right? So, you want to protect that unconsciously, subconsciously, whatever. So if you get rejected as being yourself, that's some people don't recover from those things,
Yeah, well said. Yeah, why do you said earlier, what'd you say, our egos are there for a reason? What reason do you think that is?
I think it's like, what reason do I think our egos are there for? I guess there's a touch of, image or self. I'm not even sure I can fully explain it. I need to like think it through a little bit deeper, but
Yeah, take your time.
I guess it's like self-preservation, right? Like, I think you can tie it back into confidence too. I think there's a little bit of ego in all of us. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not saying it's like egotistical, right? I'm saying it's who you believe you are, and I think that goes a long way with confidence, and that ties into meeting new people and trying to put your best foot forward. Not necessarily putting on an act or anything like that, but I think even the most self-aware people still have a bit of an ego, and I guess that's what a lot of the like Eastern traditions try to get at, right? Like Buddhism and whatnot. Not that it matters. I studied religious studies in college, of all things.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
And now we're getting somewhere. Go on, yeah.
Hey, now we're getting somewhere. So, back in college, everyone goes through something, right?
Wait. So, I'm sorry to interject. Did you go to a Christian college?
I did not.
Okay,
actually.
continue.
I did not. I went to the University of Florida.
Okay.
Way back when, during you said you're not into sports too much, but maybe some of your listeners are. The Tim Tebow days. Anyway, way back when. I originally was thinking about, going into like pre-law and going down the law school track, or really wasn't sure. And had some personal struggles in college, and at a certain point I was like, man, I really like history. I always excelled in this in high school. Maybe I'll just go in that track, be a college professor type thing. And somehow I went down the track of religious studies. Not necessarily like being a priest or a rabbi or anything like that, just like the critical study of religion. And maybe I was like looking for something, right? Like my own journey.
Interesting.
Like what do I believe in? What do I want to believe in? Why do people believe in what they believe in?
Wait, were you raised religious?
I was raised in the Jewish faith, yeah.
Okay.
I was, but I don't want to say I rejected it. I just went through, I guess, what a lot of people go through as they come of age. Why do I believe what I believe? Is it just because I was told to believe this, or did I actually internalize this? Really not sure.
Yeah.
So, ended up with a degree in religious studies and thought I was going to go down and be a professor and whatnot. But as it turned out, when you study every religion, I probably could have figured this out without spending all my parents' money and getting a degree in it. They're pretty much all the same, right? In different ways.
Say more. What'd you discover? Like for you anyway,
I discovered that a lot of people want to believe in something, and different traditions over millennia have tried to explain the natural world, right?
Yeah.
Were we created? Did this happen from the Big Bang? And like trying to color all the lines like in between. And I kind of landed on, this isn't groundbreaking, that like no one really has the answers. And there's a lot of really cool ideas. And ultimately, I think I could probably say now I'm agnostic.
Are you really?
I would say I'm agnostic. Not that I reject my like Jewish upbringing or anything like that. Certainly love, a lot of the traditions and the cultural aspect and whatnot. But now it's kind of like I believe there's something it seems pretty obvious, but I can't say what it is, and I can't disprove it or anything like that. So, but I was leaning towards atheists early on, once I got out of college, for a long time. Maybe not a long time, but for certainly for a couple years. Then I think I kind of swayed back into a middle ground, I would say.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So a middle ground. So so agnostic. So you don't agnostic. How do you define agnostic?
I would define it as I kind of like to start with my definition of like atheism.
Sure.
Which is like believing in nothing, believing that we weren't created, believing that this all just happened randomly, and that's what the universe and our solar system, the Earth, is essentially, and we're just here. I think agnostic is more like this probably wasn't random, but I'm quite literally so ignorant, and my human mind can't process or comprehend what actually may have occurred. So I'm not even going to try to like worry about it too much. I just think something happened that's more than just being random. But I'm not going to even attempt to assign what that is, because it's too much. Does that make sense?
It does. So, and don't let me put words in your mouth. But
Sure,
what I'm hearing
yeah,
is,
please.
You're leaning. If you had to, like, if there's like, you got to go left or right. You're leaning more left in the fact that there's probably some divine architect, creator, or maybe, I don't know, brain or energy or something.
Well, right. So it's
interesting
you like say that, because I'm not sure. You can go down a whole rabbit hole of like, what do you mean by divine? So I guess within my definition of being agnostic, that like people talk about, are we in a simulation, right? That I think that's not being atheistic. I think that's agnostic, right? If you are open to the idea that we are in some sort of simulation, this might be some type of brain. It may not necessarily have been, created by one mind. It could be some sort of teamwork. So,
like a collective, like holographic reality,
right?
Created by our minds, as it were.
Right. It's you can go in a million different directions. So, but it's hard for me to believe that there's like an old man in the sky that, you know, waved a magic wand and here we are kind of thing. So I don't want to say I reject that, but that doesn't, I'm not sure that's it, but I can't say it's not either. So that's where I'm at.
I'm with you. I had somebody once, and I found the terminology. So often I think when we have certain words, it helps us to find an idea that like our heads have tried to like encapsulate or control or bite off, you know, digest. And then once we have a word, our minds can more easily digest this larger idea that we've been chewing on for a while. And somebody had told me that, it was like, no, I definitely believe in God. I don't believe in the Christian deity.
Sure.
And when you say like, I don't believe this old, you know, kind of Sistine Chapel old man holding, you know, Adam, like
Precisely.
This huge beard, like I doubt God looks like that, or is like, you know, he's probably not this white guy floating in the sky. But is there, you know, it's like you study quantum physics or math, which I like to, enough, and you start to realize like it's all so precise that there's no fucking way it's by chance. And then, you know, all the atheists are like, well, you know, in a billion or a trillion simulations, like this is gonna bound to happen in one. But it's like, I don't know if that just doesn't make sense. Like we have so much, and I don't mean to steal the show, we just have so many like glaring questions right in front of us that nobody has answers to. Like we still have no idea how you jump from like matter, rock material, boiling gases to living life, let alone to then consciousness. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it's just like we have absolutely no idea how life actually fucking starts, which is like just a wild thing to try to wrap your head around. I could spend hours just trying to wrap my head around that idea. Like we have, you know, sure, we know there was a prehistoric gas and, you know, there were kind of these little plankton creatures and they probably started in the oceans and they started as bacteria or blah, blah, blah. But we still have no idea how bacteria actually comes into being, like actually starts from inorganic raw elements.
Right. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, I was going to ask you kind of what you believe, but based on, you know, what you just talked about, it leads me to believe that you might be maybe in my camp or perhaps even farther to the left, as you would say, towards some sort of creationism or maybe even having some sort of structured religion that you're part of, right?
Yeah, so I was raised Roman Catholic,
okay.
So similar to Judaism, but I'm no longer practicing. Similar thing like that, just the old man in the sky, the guilt and harshness, very present in Catholicism particularly, just didn't make sense. Why all these like very wise religious leaders weren't allowed to have sex, just didn't make sense. And then, you know, you have all the scandals and whatnot that were breaking around the time I was like coming of age, like into high school, I could just never follow that. But I definitely do believe there's, I don't know, like right now it's really hard for me to understand how there's this, we'll say, unseen father or unseen creator. It's you know, but I really like the idea of, I think it comes from Islam, like the Atman, like a little bit of God in each of us, you know, the Christian idea of the Holy Spirit. I really like that idea that like we all have this spark or flame of divinity in us that seems unique to our species compared to other conscious species on the planet. I like that concept. I think I don't know if you've ever gone down the rabbit hole. There's a podcast out there called the Telepathy Tapes.
The Telepathy Tapes?
Yeah, the Telepathy Tapes. And it's
not come across that. Tell me more.
Yeah, I'm going to butcher the description, but basically there's a type of autism that's nonverbal is how they describe it. And for even now, I think like the medical industry has basically told parents like, they're vegetables, there's nobody in there, they're probably never going to get above, you know, kindergarten. A grown-ass adult will never get above like a kindergarten level of comprehension. And so the Telepathy Tapes is this documentary filmmaker got wind of this Harvard doctor who was starting to investigate these weird incidents where the parents of these nonverbal autistic children were starting to say that their kids, like, I know this is going to sound crazy, and I know you say like it's not possible their brain functioning like for anybody to be in there, but I swear to God my kid is reading my mind. And lo and behold, new technology comes out, right? They get these iPads, and there's now this app, this tech on this app where these kids can now learn the alphabet, and like they can move enough that they can type in letters, and it'll like speak and spell, like say the letters for them or say the words for them.
Wow.
And so now they're starting to be able to communicate. And in like episode 2 or 3, I won't spoil the whole series if you're interested, but in episode 2 or 3, one of the kids says this idea, like, it's very frustrating going to normal school that I have to learn how to talk because my body doesn't obey what I tell it all the time. Because where, you know, with my friends and who I normally hang out with, we don't have to talk to communicate. And so, like, you know, the documentary filmmaker's like, what the fuck does that mean? Holy hell.
Right.
And what you find out is there are all these kids who are, they believe, telepathically connected, and they meet once a day at this place they called the Hill. And it's like some wild stuff. Like, some of these kids know multiple languages. Some of them have like studied Beethoven's concertos. Like, you know, these are kids who have like gone to school for 12. Some of them are 18, 25 now, and they've gone to school for 20 plus years. Some of them never even went to school, and they didn't really receive an education beyond like, these are colors and shapes. But now, like, they are, you know, some of these, like one of the girls, they put on all these different like classical musics, and like to the T, she's able to pick exactly which one it is, like between like cello or Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, like she knows all of them. And so it's like, how the fuck did you learn all of the classical composers? One, if you're a vegetable, and two,
Right.
if you never went to traditional school. And so yeah, they find out that like they get these kids together, and they're all like best friends, and they know each other, and it's just fucking wild. So anyway, back to our conversation.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Great. That's super interesting. So, I mean, the implications of that are like mind blowing.
Exactly.
Completely wild. I mean, it sounds like they're like astral projecting in a certain way to meet on some like other plane, and then that kind of ties in. I don't know if you've heard or read about like the Akashic field, where like all knowledge is just like out there in the ether. It seems like these kids are able to like tap into that somehow in ways that most of us, you know, other folk are not really able to.
Yeah.
So that's I definitely need to check that out. Thanks for sharing.
Oh man, it blew. Like, yeah, I think the first episode it's pretty dry, and then by episode 2 or 3 it just pops off, and you're like, oh, like it to your point, the implications are massive. So anyway, it led me to the belief that if we are evolving still, which would make sense,
Yes.
the next, at some point, I would think a species would have to get to a point where they, like, telepathy just makes sense as the next natural mode of mass communication. And in a society where there's telepathy, certain things that we have nowadays that kind of like plug our current progress, or cap our current progress, would cease to really exist, right? Like politicians who are lying full of shit, like everyone would be able to see and know that right off the gun, and
Right.
they would get quickly moved out of power. And so I think, I don't know, I'm personally seeing it like in my own life where I just get bad vibes from people, and it's just like, okay, I don't know why, but we're not hanging out, you know, I'm not going to be around you. And life has just gotten like astronomically better. I'm not saying we should just kick everybody to the curb, you know, but
no, for sure. But
I think, yeah.
some people really do seem to radiate some sort of energy, which can be overwhelmingly positive or strikingly negative at the same time. Not at the same
Well
time,
said.
but for different people.
Yeah.
So I've certainly felt that in my own life too. And but hey, I mean, just trying to be the other side of the coin. I'm sure that me and you don't rub certain people the right way, right? So they might misread our energy or whatnot.
Oh, totally. We all have a tribe.
We all definitely have a tribe. So yeah, I mean, and it's interesting to think about where like AI kind of like plugs into all of this, right?
Yeah. Where do you think AI is going to plug in?
I mean, well, you're talking about, you know, telepathy, and my mind kind of went straight towards like the concept of the singularity, right? Where, you know, all of a sudden,
I'm aware of the idea, but could you just define what the singularity is?
I think it's where maybe the singularity is not the word, but the idea I'm trying to convey is where lost my train of thought. Give me just a second here.
No, you're
Cut
good.
that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No. You didn't cut me off. You're good.
Yeah, to help you, I had read, what's the book? Oh, the Singularity is Nearer, and it's pretty dense. It's, I think, from this computer scientist, maybe astrophysicist guy, really intelligent dude, and he goes into like the math and how he all thinks, but he defines the singularity as when you're going to have the mergence of artificial and human intelligence.
Right.
Human and computers are going to merge.
Right.
And he first wrote the singularity is near back in the 80s, and he just came out, I think, maybe 10 years ago with the singularity is nearer, and saying, these are the milestones that would have to happen for this thing to be possible. And 3 months after his publication date, one of the key things that he predicted, so he thought the singularity was going to come by 2035. One of the key things that he thought was like one of those key milestones you'd have to hurdle in order to get there happened 3 months after he had published. Like Google's DeepMind or whatever, like research institute. I'll have to double check that Google research lab. I have no idea what it's called, but they published that. They had just done that like 3.5 months later or whatever. And so that accelerated his timeline and put the singularity to like this year or next year or some shit. So it's just like,
the idea of where computers can start becoming semi or fully self-aware.
Totally.
And it's like right now, we're all connected in so many ways with our devices and the internet and whatnot, but I don't want to say it's a indirect or passive like connection, but my thought is like one day, just going back to the telepathy thing, and circling all the way back to our conversation about all of us being part of a big brain. We might be able to all plug into each other at the same time, like inextricably, and maybe that's not the singularity I'm referring to, but that idea is wild to me. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. No, it definitely does. It's kind of like your idea of the simulation and
right.
No, it makes. I mean, have you ever heard of what is it? The observational effect. I think it's like this study in physics where they noticed.
Yes.
Yeah, like when you observe the particles, they actually behave differently than when you don't, or something. And
right. It's hard to even wrap your head around that.
Yeah.
A wave of light. I think they did I think it's like the double slit.
Yeah.
I think it's something like that. I'm like not fully read up on it, but I've heard of bits and pieces. And yeah, the particles appear. I don't understand it, but they appear to act differently when someone's observing versus when someone's not observing. Like,
So to your point, like not only is I'll look it up and then like do voiceover right here, but be like, well, I Googled it, but yeah, to your point, it's like clearly if we are plugged into the simulation bends based on our expectations and we co-create it. And so it's like I believe, right, like we're at this golden age. We're finally like getting all the lead out of the pipes and just dumb shit that it's like, how did we not know about lead poisoning,
right?
In the 19th century. But in any case, we're doing all these things that I think like I think it's like 14th century Italy. It's like, Leonardo da Vinci's like 9 years old. We got all these little geniuses who are like about to pop off, and society is going to change so quick, so fast that if we don't start to like really bend our minds and bend our idea of what's possible, things can go really poorly. Or if we get more flexible with our thoughts and how things could work, I think, a golden age could be ushered in. But I'm an optimist, so that's just me.
I'd like to think in those terms too. I lean towards optimism, but it's hard not to question, question everyone's motives, other people's motives, and especially, you seem like a guy that might be around my age, right? So maybe older, maybe younger, or whatever. Are you a millennial?
I am, yes. I'm 33.
Okay, so I'm just a couple years older than you. But I feel like, our age and younger has, I'm not trying to like shit on like older generations or whatnot, but I feel like they're less adept to change, right? And, embracing this technological wave that has been hitting for decades now, but is really starting to crescendo at this time. So I do wonder as well, are we going to be able to ride that wave, or is it going to wipe us out?
It's a good question. It's funny you say wipe us out. I was just listening to, I think it was Modern Wisdom, and he's had a guest on there. I don't remember the guy's name, but his whole thing is he researches population numbers, and trends them over time. And almost like even Africa has started slowing its growth rate. India capped out at its max birth rate, I think back in like 2008 or something. So anyway, like even all of these countries that we think are still exploding in population, their birth rates have started to peak and are now in decline. And so he starts to talk about how like in 60 years, or I can't remember what his time zone is, but he's like, we have this population that's continuing to increase because we have all these older people, to your point, who are living longer than ever. But he's like, at a certain point, once they all start to go in a 20 or 30 year span, he's like, there's going to be such a vacuum, like so much open property, like everything's going to go into free fall. And he's like, people don't really understand how society as we know it and through all of recorded history has never actually functioned with a larger, older population than a smaller youth population. He's like, societies just don't work that way. And so he just talks about how like people don't realize this is probably the biggest issue that is going to affect everyone everywhere in the coming, couple of years. But it's so far out on the horizon still that nobody's really talking about it. But
sure.
I think about that all the time, where it's like shit is going to get nuts. Like anyway, it's like we got to figure out something.
I'm in agreement with you, my friend.
Well, anyway, great conversation before you leave for Vegas.
Very, very, very good conversation. I had no idea we were going to go there, but
I'm glad we did.
I'm glad we did too. I feel like these are some of the most important conversations we can have.
Oh, I agree, man. When I first wrote my book, I did all this economic research about, and uncovered some of these things about population. Anyway, I came to the conclusion like we massively need to redesign the economy. And anyway, it led us, it's funny we got into theology and all that, because it led me to the idea that like ultimately how you think we can redefine the economy depends on your views on good and evil. And if you think like people can actually behave altruistically. Right. Anyway.
No, man, dude, so cool. I'm definitely gonna check out the book. I'm gonna check out the podcast. And,
hey man, if you want a copy, I got it right here.
I'd love a copy.
Yeah, there you are, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, let me know what you think.
All right, my friend, Sean McMahon.
That's me, man.
All right, dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna head out.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.
That's it for today's ride. Huge thanks to the passengers who let me share their stories. This show wouldn't exist without you. If you enjoyed listening in, come join me over on my Substack, where you can support the podcast and be part of the community. Thanks for riding along. I'll see you next time.
Goodbye.